The scorching afternoon sun baked the earth. At Dragon City No. 9 Middle School, Grade 12 Class 6, the classroom was as sweltering as a steamer and the students were all drowsy. The teacher brandished an alloy battle saber in one hand and gripped a hideous specimen in the other, screaming at the top of his lungs on the podium. "Look at me! Quick, look at me! If you don't look at me, how will you know what monsters look like?" In the back row of the classroom, a boy with messy hair suddenly woke up and let out a scream. Both the students and the teacher were startled. "Meng Chao?" Deep red sleep marks remained on Meng Chao's face, and his expression was filled with panic, as if he had just woken from a long nightmare. He scratched his hair and looked around, his dazed eyes suddenly freezing when they hit the blackboard. It was covered with dense saber technique insights, torque analysis of the battle saber, speed, angle, and depth of the blade, the maximum strength of monster carapaces, and various complex formulas, all mandatory questions for the high school graduation exam. Two giant lines of text loomed. 50 days to the high school graduation exam. Study hard and make progress every day. Glorify our planet and dominate the other world. Is this my high school classroom? Meng Chao's mind was in a daze. Didn't I die? How did I return to my senior year right before the high school graduation exam? This is even worse than death. In an instant, a splitting headache set in, and countless memory fragments rushed into his mind like a torrential flood. What? Dragon City fell? I failed the high school graduation exam and was battered by society for decades, only to end up as a third-rate expert? But my sister, with her extraordinary talent and the Night Devil bloodline, became the legendary Night Witch, one of the most terrifying boss-level powerhouses in the entire otherworld? Meow meow meow, what on earth is this development? Meng Chao was struck by lightning. He tried to recall the details, but the nightmare faded quickly, leaving only scattered flashbacks. In a daze, a familiar big black face leaned in. "Meng Chao, don't affect other students by sleeping in class." Meng Chao blurted out. "Teacher Yen, you're still alive?" The whole class was first met with dead silence, followed by an uproar. Everyone admired Meng Chao's death-seeking courage to the point of utter prostration. You must know that teacher Yen Dongxing, who taught this 100 Battles Saber Technique class, was the feared Yen the Devil. It was said that back in the military, he was a famous iron-blooded instructor who killed monsters as easily as chopping dumpling filling. To dare to tease even Yen the Devil, he truly lives up to his reputation as the former #1 tough guy of Class 6. "Meng Chao, we will give you a grand burial." Tears of sympathy rolled down the students' faces as teacher Yen Dongxing's face, usually as black as the bottom of a pot, instantly turned beet red. "Student Meng Chao, care to explain?" He gripped the monster's skull specimen, his voice calm yet hiding a lethal intent. "This is bad." Meng Chao's pupils contracted. At this moment, his perception of killing intent was 10 times that of his classmates. Stimulated by this lethal aura, he quickly snapped back to reality. "Sorry, Teacher Yen, I was too exhausted from studying last night and dozed off. I had a nightmare." Meng Chao struggled to capture the flashbacks in his mind and said uncertainty. "I seem to dream of overwhelming otherworld creatures, specifically the cruel and howling kind, swarming toward Dragon City like a flood. We couldn't stop them, and our century-old home was destroyed. I woke up in terror. And then, Teacher Yen, you were incredibly heroic in my dream, a martyr revered by everyone. I was just deeply mourning your memory, and when I opened my eyes and saw you walking over, I was so overcome with joy that I couldn't help myself." "Wait a second." Yen Dongxing raised his eyebrows. "So in your dream, Dragon City fell, and I died as well?" He wore a faint mocking smile. The monster's skull creaked and groaned under the tightening pressure of his grip. "This?" Meng Chao scratched his head. Having just returned from the nightmare, his survival instinct was in overdrive. "Rest assured, teacher, you died peacefully without a hint of pain." Meng Chao wasn't lying. He vaguely remembered Yen the Devil being devoured by a 100-toothed giant maggot. It was torn to shreds in just 2 or 3 seconds. He didn't even have time to let out a scream. So, there shouldn't have been any pain, right? Crack! Yen Dongxing crushed the monster's skull with a single hand. "Dragon City will fall? That's simply laughable. Stand against the wall. Head up, chest out, stomach in, and stick your butt out." Meng Chao looked troubled. "Teacher Yen, how am I supposed to stick my butt out while standing against the wall?" "What?" Meng Chao felt a jolt, instantly finding the feeling of being 17 again. He stuck his butt out, his face filled with determination. The iron-blooded instructor was fuming, his eyes bulging wider than a monster's. "I won't mention your usual slacking off, and I can't be bothered to care about you sleeping in class, but student Meng Chao, Just what is in your head for you to dream about the destruction of Dragon City? Tell me loudly. 50 years ago, when our Dragon City crossed over to this other world, there was no coal, no oil, no electricity, nothing at all. There were only plagues and zombies everywhere. Back then, did Dragon City perish, sir? Dragon City did not perish. After the zombie crisis, the fog descended, and monsters appeared. Countless martyrs sacrificed their blood to carve out survival space inch by inch from between the monsters' teeth. Yan Dongxing continued to roar. In just the first 10 years of the monster war, we lost a third of our population. At the most tragic point, monsters broke into the city center every day, and humans fought them in every shopping mall, every residential community, and every single bathroom. Tell me, did we yield? Did Dragon City perish? Sir, we did not yield, and Dragon City did not perish. Facing the spray of the iron-blooded instructor's spit, Meng Chao looked as though he were ready to die for the cause. Yan Dongxing's anger subsided slightly as he said solemnly, "Very good. Whether it was the crossing, the zombie outbreaks, or the monster invasions, the crises that failed to destroy us only made us stronger. After half a century of struggle, today's Dragon City has secured its footing in this other world. Compared to when we first arrived, our territory has tripled, and our population has quintupled. Many citizens have reached the level of elite special forces and Olympic champions, and the 1 in 100 superhumans possess even more staggering combat power. We have upgraded ancient martial arts, restored powerful industries, and unlocked brand new technologies. Dragon City's cavalry remains vigilant every night. Once the fog lifts, our steel torrent will sweep down like tigers from a mountain, spreading the radiance of Earth's civilization across this entire world. How could such a Dragon City be destroyed by mere otherworld creatures? And they're supposed to be brutal? Let me tell you, in this world, only we Earthlings are the most brutal." The iron-blooded instructor couldn't help but curse. The students were fired up, their blood boiling with excitement. Monitor Zhuohaoran stood up. He had sharp brows and bright eyes, a tall and straight figure, and lived up to his name with a natural aura of righteousness. He glanced at Meng Chao and said solemnly, "Teacher Yan, that was brilliantly said. The long night has passed, and ahead lies the dawn of victory. Growing up in such a radiant era, today's youth should study hard and cultivate diligently, striving to become superhumans and contributing their strength to the rise of Dragon City in this other world. How can we be terrified of the enemy like tigers and spend all day obsessing over the destruction of Dragon City? Of course, I believe those as timid as mice are ultimately a tiny minority. The majority of us share the same conviction. Dragon City will win. Earth will win. Civilization will win." Led by the monitor, the students grew ecstatic. Dragon City will win. Earth will win. Civilization will win. Everyone pumped their fists and shouted, wishing they could drop their pens right now to join the army and sweep across the other world. "The monitor is so handsome." Many girls cast admiring glances at Zhuohaoran. In sharp contrast, their looks toward Meng Chao naturally became strange. Some whispered in discussion, "Meng Chao really has fallen into a slump lately, always sleeping in class. You can't really blame him. His cultivation went wrong and he was seriously injured. Going from first in the class to the very bottom, who wouldn't feel dejected? Still, he shouldn't be cursing Dragon City to its doom. Holy crap, he's looking for trouble." Meng Chao narrowed his eyes, thinking to himself, "Do I have a grudge against you? Come to think of it, wait, I really do have a grudge." Monitor Zhuohaoran was exactly Meng Chao's arch-rival during high school. Staring at that handsome yet self-righteous pretty boy, Meng Chao's head throbbed as memory fragments came in waves. Scenes flashed quickly before his eyes. Meng Chao realized with a shock that in his nightmare just now, his failure in the high school graduation exam seemed to have something to do with the monitor. While Meng Chao failed the exam, the monitor got into a prestigious university and soon became a superhuman, soaring to greatness. But this spineless coward is a complete hypocrite and a true lowlife. When Dragon City was sweeping across the other world and winning every battle, Zhuohaoran rode the wave, gaining a halo of heroism, receiving heaps of flowers and glory. At high school class reunions, 7 or 8 girls would swarm him like wolves. Meng Chao was a man with a strong sense of justice. On the spot he was envious, no, disgusted to the core. However, when Dragon City encountered a real otherworld civilization and fell into a bitter struggle, this guy actually deserted, causing the entire front line to collapse. Sentenced by the military tribunal, Zhuohaoran decided to go all the way. He simply betrayed Dragon City, defected to the alien races, and sold out Earth's secrets. A traitor acting all high and mighty? Who's really terrified of the enemy like a tiger? At least I fought until the very last moment and perished with Dragon City. You little punk. First you sabotage my high school graduation exam, then you act like a lowlife at the class reunion, and finally you betray Dragon City? I'll make you wish you were dead. Like an instinct, combat plans swirled in Meng Chao's mind. He took half a step forward, and Zhuhaoran subconsciously tensed up in alarm. The monitor spoke so well. I am truly educated and deeply moved. Meng Chao said with a face full of humble bragging sincerity, even giving a slight bow. Thank you, Teacher Yen and Monitor, for your guidance. I have deeply realized my mistakes. I will change. From now on, I will stand firm and cultivate hard for the rise of Dragon City in the other world, to contribute all my strength. Talk is cheap, watch my actions. Zhuhaoran shuddered. He felt Meng Chao's gaze had suddenly become eerie, a complete departure from the person he was before class. Enough, Monitor. Sit down. Let's continue the lesson. Teacher Yen didn't waste words and pointed Meng Chao to the corner. Be self-aware. Crouching dragon stance, Zhilong stake. Stay like that until class is over. The words crouching dragon stance triggered a chorus of gasps. In Dragon City's compulsory education system from kindergarten to high school, there are the 9 great stakes: 3 lying, 3 sitting, and 3 standing. Combined with breathing and meditation, they allow one to absorb spiritual energy, stimulate cell activity, break gene shackles, and step onto the path of transcendence. The crouching dragon stance, however, is the 10th stake technique beyond the syllabus and the hardest one to practice. Forget high school, even many vocational colleges don't teach it. Only the legendary undergraduate programs, sacred grounds for training superhumans, practice this stance. It requires the legs to be stretched extremely wide and the spine to twist like a venomous snake, brewing a half-exposed spirit. It's like a hungry, highly aggressive snake waking from hibernation. At number 9 middle school, even top students in the rocket class, who can stand for over 10 minutes, are rare, and their class 6 is just an ordinary parallel class. There's still half an hour until class ends. Everyone knew Meng Chao was injured in his junior year and hospitalized for months. Since his discharge, he had let himself go and never planned for undergraduate study. Even the basic 9 great stakes were mediocre for him. Standing in the crouching dragon stance for half an hour? He'd better prepare to crawl home after school. Many students felt a sense of shared sorrow, thinking Yen the devil was truly ruthless. Zhuhaoran crossed his arms and sat down with a cold sneer. Meng Chao obediently went to the corner to stand. The Zhilong stake seems like a very simple introductory stance. In my nightmare, it was phased out long ago. How exactly do you stand again? Meng Chao recalled, his mind still a bit muddled, unable to distinguish between dream and reality. A black sheep brings its own ruin. Zhuhaoran muttered to himself, his voice just loud enough to be heard by those around him. Before he could even finish, Meng Chao moved. Whoosh! Front leg bowed, back leg tensed. Both arms stretched out like spirit snakes. His spine resembled a flood dragon just awakening from the abyss, poised and ready for the spring thunder. Meng Chao's spirit erupted like a mountain torrent, beyond his own control. This? The students were dumbstruck. Meng Chao seemed reborn, a completely transformed person. The rhythm of his muscles, bones and limbs radiated composure and absolute confidence. Simply standing there, he lacked even a hint of high school awkwardness. His posture wasn't standard, but it was more beautiful and lethal than any Zhilong stake they had seen. Even his fingertips trembled slightly, emitting a faint, flickering killing intent. Holy crap, is Meng Chao's Zhilong stake really this strong? He's arguably even better than the monitor. It's an illusion. He's putting his life on the line just to showboat. Just wait, 1 minute tops and he'll collapse. A minute passed. Meng Chao remained completely at ease, looking as though he could hold the stance until the late-night study session. Suddenly, as if struck by a thought, he spoke with a face full of humble bragging apology. Teacher Yen, is something wrong? Is my posture not standard enough? I'm so sorry. I haven't practiced in a while, and my movements are a bit off. I'll definitely fix it when I get home. Please bear with me. Yen Dongxing opened his mouth but stopped. His dark face went through a kaleidoscope of expressions before he returned to the podium in silence. The students, however, were screaming curses in their hearts. Is this beast Meng Chao even speaking a human language? If your Zhilong stake is off, then what are we? Earthworms? Was it an illusion? Everyone felt that since Meng Chao woke up, both his skill in the stake stance and his showboating ability had skyrocketed. All eyes and pressure shifted back to Zhuhaoran. The monitor felt as though Meng Chao had delivered a resounding slap to his face. His expression was awkward, but a flicker of ferocity flashed in the depths of his eyes. Class, continue class. Yen Dongxing knocked on the blackboard. 100 Battles Saber Technique and Thunder Cross Sword are the two most important cold weapon combat skills in high school. Last year's final big question on the high school graduation exam was about Thunder Cross Sword. This year, it's very likely the turn of the 100 Battles Saber Technique. Everyone, listen carefully to my analysis of the 7 advanced methods for the saber to cut through the gaps in monster carapaces. Yen Dongxing was a saber master and a gold medal teacher. It was said he had a senior brother who was a peerless expert on the high school graduation exam question-setting committee. For the past 3 years, Yen Dongxing had specifically taught senior year classes, and his rate of predicting exam questions was very high. Seeing the teacher reveal his special skills, everyone's spirits rose, and they forgot about Meng Chao. While standing in the crouching dragon stance, Zhilong stake, the lightning-like flame deep within Meng Chao's pupils grew brighter and brighter, releasing a slight sting. What on earth is this again? Meng Chao was astonished. A bundle of fire-like and electricity-like red spots of light floated in the upper left of his field of vision, as elusive as eye floaters. Others probably couldn't see it. Otherwise, a cluster of strange fire drifting around the classroom would have made everyone scream long ago. Moreover, it looked somewhat familiar. At the end of his nightmare, when Dragon City was being destroyed, he seemed to have seen this cluster of strange fire erupting from the city core. Now the strange fire accompanied Meng Chao back to his youth, then shattered into rows of mysterious and complex runes. Hundreds of runes jumped frantically, changing from worm-like odd characters to even odder ones, sounding like information from above the stars and deep space. After dozens of shifts, the information was translated into human language. Host has passed the mental and willpower check. Binding complete. The Seed of Hope. Host identity confirmed. The Hope-Bearer, Meng Chao, congratulations on becoming a Hope-Bearer of civilization. We hope you will do your best to spread the fire of civilization. Initial contribution point reward, 10,000. Detected, old hidden injuries in the Hope-Bearer's body. Not proficient in any basic skills. Automatically allocate initial contribution points to restore to optimal state. The Seed of Hope? Hope-Bearer? Making contributions? Contribution rewards? A Rebirth gift pack? Meng Chao was completely bewildered, but he subconsciously nodded. Yes. Consuming 1,000 contribution points. Redeeming basic restoration once. Healing progress, 10%. Consuming 1,010 contribution points. Redeeming basic restoration once. Healing progress, 19%. Consuming 1,025 contribution points. Redeeming basic restoration once. A series of messages flashed through Meng Chao's vision. Simultaneously, a wave of warmth flooded his body like a trickling stream, as gentle as the first buds of spring. My injuries. The hidden wounds from last year's cultivation error that even doctors were helpless against, they're actually healing. I can feel it. Those shattered tendons and meridians are all being reconnected. Meng Chao's eyes widened, so euphoric he wanted to burst into song. This feels amazing. Don't stop. Soon after the string of restoration alerts, a brand new message popped up. Consuming 3,500 contribution points. Redeeming the basic force exertion technique Mighty Bull technique, and upgrading to expert level. This is... Endless details of the Mighty Bull technique flooded Meng Chao's mind. Every muscle contortion, vascular twist, and the flow of neural currents through every acupuncture point. Complex formulas for bone strength and ergonomics, along with scientific cultivation methods, became clear. Flashbacks of him training in his nightmare turned into a torrent of information, surging into his motor nerves and brain cells to make him an instant expert. With a single thought, he could control every muscle to unleash a punch of supreme power. Amazing! Are legendary third-rate experts really this strong? Just as he reached a peak of euphoria, the sensation stopped abruptly. Don't stop now. I was just getting into it. Keep going. Seed of Hope. Information flashed before his eyes. Basic skills are divided into 5 ranks: ordinary, expert, master, perfect, and ultimate. Upgrade occurs at 100% proficiency, accumulated through combat or redeemed with contribution points. Upgrade me like crazy. Do I look like someone who fusses over a few points? Current balance, 3 contribution points. Unable to redeem. Please accumulate more points. What? 10,000 points gone just like that? Fine, upgrade me to master level first. Can I give you an IOU? Fine, Upgrade me to master level first. Can I give you an IOU? No. Then tell me how to earn more. The fire of civilization is eternal. The stronger the civilization, the stronger the hope-bearer. Please contribute to your civilization to unlock more power and missions. The starlight text vanished, reverting into a magnificent flame that ignored him entirely. Meng Chao messed around for a while but couldn't summon a manual or tutorial. Ring, ring, ring. Class dismissed. Teacher Yen cast a cold, expressionless glance at Meng Chao and left the classroom with his specimens. The students finally remembered Meng Chao was still standing as punishment. When they looked back, their mouths hung open in shock. Meng Chao actually lasted the whole time? A proper stance provides immense benefits for tempering one's spirit and will. At this moment, Meng Chao looked like a rusty sword that had been repolished, radiating a sharp, piercing aura. It was as if people were seeing him as he was before his injury in junior year. Facing the students' astonished gazes and whispers, Meng Chao looked utterly indifferent. The corners of his eyes and mouth twitched slightly. For some reason he was suddenly starving, so hungry his stomach felt scorched. He couldn't move a single step, and his vision was turning black. Oh no! Does the Seed of Hope require me to provide all the bioenergy needed for body repairs and skill awakening myself? Just as he was about to collapse, a great white bear came charging towards him. Meng Chao, how could you practice the crouching dragon stance to such a powerful level behind my back? The great white bear was a tigerback tank weighing over 200 pounds. His aggrieved expression and resentful voice gave everyone goosebumps. Meng Chao shuddered. This voice, which he wouldn't forget even if it were turned into ash, belonged to his high school best friend, Chu Feixiong. Who else could it be? Quick! Fatty Xiong. I forgot my wallet today. Treat me to a feast at the tuck shop, and I'll treat you twice in the next 2 days. No way. Buy one get two back? My appetite is already 3 times yours. Since when did you become so generous, Meng Chao? There must be a catch. Would I ever lie to you? We're brothers from different parents. True. The whole class heard you, so I doubt you'll dare to back out. Let's go. To the tuck shop, it's on me today. 5 minutes later, at a corner of the school tuck shop, the great white bear was crying like a 200-pound child. Meng Chao, for the love of God, be a human. You're an animal. You just ate 2 weeks' worth of my allowance in one breath. I'll fight you. He lunged at Meng Chao ferociously. Don't be like that. Meng Chao peeled his last chocolate bar and casually swung his arm. Mighty Bull Technique, activate. The 200-pound great white bear was sent flying. The two stared at each other in total confusion. Just now, Chu Feixiong was dazed and dizzy. It was a hallucination. Meng Chao remained deadpan, swallowing the chocolate while looking at the shelves unsatisfied. The instant noodles today look quite fresh too. Great color, aroma and taste. Get lost. I don't even have a cent left. Hurry up, class is starting. The great white bear fled in panic. Meng Chao was about to give chase when he noticed a white-haired janitor near the trash can who had accidentally spilled a huge bag of trash all over the floor. Ma'am, let me help you. Meng Chao reached out and picked up all the trash. Suddenly his eye twitched as information popped up. Frowny face for helping others and promoting the integrity of Dragon City. Contribution points plus 0.001. For protecting the environment and promoting the sustainable development of Dragon City. Contribution points plus 0.001. Contribution points, is it really that simple? The information flashed and vanished, but Meng Chao stood frozen for a long time.